thanks a million for coming over. I know you've got more to be doing with your spare time, but listen, it's great to see.
You'd be very surprised.
Tonight's match first. How did you think the team played? Tell us what's the story with you.
I thought the guys went really well. Great to get the bonus point. I think there was 20 minutes maybe from about 40 minutes to 60 minutes where we were probably a little bit poor, and I'd say we'd be disappointed to leak the 3 tries against them, because I think Scarlets, minus their internationals, I think they were average enough tonight.
An easy hit, so there's a lot to work on.
Yes, exactly. You sound like Matt O'Connor.
Yeah, he beat that into me. Rob, when you arrived, you were only 19 years old when you made your debut for the senior team against Ospreys.
A little pup.
A little pup. And within 2 years, you had Gervin Dempsey's jersey, because he kept on going missing to Irish matches and stuff. Do you ever worry about sort of the next bright spark coming along to getting comfortable in your jersey?
Yeah, of course. You always worry about it, and you don't have to ever look too far. I've had Issa Nadewa for the last 4 years, and just when I see the back of him, I see Kirshner coming now again. So I suppose one thing that I'll always say about Gervin is that he was fantastic to me growing up when I was learning the trade as a fullback. He was always just really helpful for me, and I thought it was a sign of a really good man and a great person who can sort of mentor the guy coming behind him.
Yeah.
And I just feel that, as time goes on and I start to get a little bit older, if I can be sort of half the man that Gervin was to me, to the next generation coming behind, well, then I'll be pretty happy.
You think that's why Zenny got his haircut?
I don't know. I'll say it was the first most disappointing thing of the night is that we didn't get to see Zane's dreadlocks in the audience.
In 2012, Rob, you cleaned up the awards. Okay. You got the Leinster Players Player Award, you got the ERC Player of the Year, and you got the Guinness Writers Player of the Year. Of those 3 awards, the 3 very different awards, which meant the most to you?
I think it's got to always be your players, your own peers. It's I suppose as players we don't look for too much affirmation, and when we read in the papers we can understand that'll vary a huge amount given on any different week, and it's always your teammates and those guys who you play week in, week out with. They see you training Monday to Friday. They're the guys you want the respect from, and if they feel it's fit to give you an award on a certain year, and which I was very lucky to get from the guys, that's always got to be the best accolade of all.
Very good, thanks for that. And of course, on the pitch, you're a great rugby player, obviously, but off the pitch, you're seen as a real gentleman and a role model by just about everybody. The other side of that is you've turned into a kind of a clothes horse, modelling and cars and stuff. I was just wondering about that. Is that great, or does it become a bit of a pain, sort of waiting for all these gorgeous models and cars and
I don't know what photo shoots you've been watching. No, listen, it's never a pain, these sort of things. I think, it's part and parcel of what you do, and when you play professional sport and sometimes you can be viewed as being in the limelight a little bit. These are the things that come with the territory a little bit. So no, it's nice when people don't want to be seen, taking photos with you or getting autographs and whatnot. That's the time to worry, because you're doing something wrong. So you're always thankful for it, and long may it continue, I suppose, because it means what you're doing on the field is something relatively good.
And does it take long to do the makeup?
I tell you what, I missed the second half of the game.
Obviously you don't need to use sunbeds and all this. Is there any of the lads on the team use sunbeds?
I tell you what, I am sick to my back teeth. We're getting abused for doing sunbeds.
Don't.
You'll see. It's For those of you who may not have seen me up close too much, it's all the freckles, literally joining together. And during matches, for whatever reason, a lot of the lads will go red from the games, but for some God unknown reason, I seem to go a little bit orange as opposed to red.
I hate that.
I think unfortunately that's where that aspect of it comes. But no lads do the sunbeds.
None of them.
I'm afraid to say, none of them.
Thanks for doing that.
They're bad for you.
There would be, as far as I wouldn't know. You know the way there's always a camera somewhere. On the last few years, we've seen lots of funny, very funny things happening on tours. Like I'm thinking of Flaz, the time he had to go and run around with his pink in the hair, and just for saying something, for turning up late to a meeting. You're one of the most travelled players in Ireland. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen on a tour?
It's a tough question. I think.
Why?
Because tours aren't as fun as maybe sometimes they're made out to be. But maybe a lot of people will have seen the Lions DVD during the summer where Simon Zebo had to call Rob Penny on his dice roll.
Brilliant.
And honestly, the entertainment factor out of that was brilliant because I had never in my life seen such awkwardness on a telephone call. The coach, Rob Penny, didn't want to be in any way honest or hurtful to Simon Zebo. I'm telling him he didn't have a chance in the hell. Captain Munster. What was funny about that was that 5 minutes later, they didn't show this on the DVD, but Zebo got fined again. And he had to roll the dice. So before we rolled the dice, the fines committee stood up and said that if he rolled another 4, he'd in fact have to call the Irish coach this time, which would have been Joe, and I don't think that would have went down too well.
On a more serious note, you're also the chairman of Arupa since Johnny Sexton left. Is there anything you think that should be done about the drain of players to France at the moment, or for that matter, do you think should be done at all? Because is it good for the game in the long run? Or?
No, losing players is never good for the game because first and foremost we care about Leinster rugby and we care about Irish rugby. To be fair, I don't think there's been a massive drain of players. You know, we've just had one, and obviously it's been pretty high profile, and it's been, you know, maybe unfortunate for Leinster to lose the likes of Johnny. But, you know, I think Leinster are in a very privileged position that, you know, we get to play in the RDS, we're a city team, we've got great facilities, you know, we win trophies. You know, I think in all of the clubs, you know, being pursued by the French clubs, Leinster, we're actually one of the really lucky ones. And, you know, there's so much more to, you know, the fans have to take a huge amount of credit in that as well, and, you know, the marketing staff and, you know, people who make Leinster rugby what it is. And I think that's not just the players, that's the wider community, and I think, you know, everyone needs to take, you know, a huge amount of credit from that.
Thanks. I did a little bit of homework during the week, and since you started playing representative rugby when you were in Clongowes, you've 217 caps in your wardrobe. You've got God knows how many gold medals. You could probably melt them down and open a jewellery store. Of all of those caps and medals that you've won since you were in school, the representative ones now, of all of them, which one would you keep if you had to give the rest of them back? It's a hard one, I know.
No, I can tell you straight up, it would be Heineken number 3.
Really?
And I suppose more so, and this is quite a personal thing, that for the first Heineken I got sick in the semi-final, and then I was only on the bench for the final. And then for the second time we won the Heineken Cup, I was out for the whole season, only played 2 games that season. So the third time, finally, I got a chance to play in the Heineken Cup final, and it was something that was really special for me. So that would be the one that I'd keep.
Brilliant. Thanks a million. Actually, it's not as if you're ready to I was going to say to you that during your career, you've delivered so many like heart-stopping moments and driven us all mad from time to time with some of the stuff you do.
Stupidity.
No. No, what I'm thinking is, I was thinking particularly the first time, like on that final you were talking about, the Ulster final, a couple of minutes into the match and you take off into the substrata to catch a ball out of the air, and that just set the whole place on fire. Also, in the semi-final that year, Claremont, that drop goal. So sweet. And then last week in the Aviva, you really did prove that man can play. You proved that a man can fly and leave scorched earth behind him. That's what we reckon. So, even though this was done beforehand, would you believe? There you go. That's the proof. I was just going to ask you though, of those three moments, you had the opener in the 2012 final, the Claremont drop goal, and the scorcher last week. Which of those did you really enjoy the most yourself? Because they were really cool.
I'll tell you one thing that, and I'm sure very, very few people know this. The week of the Heineken Cup final against Ulster, Joe called me into his office on the Tuesday. I hadn't played since the Claremont game, and this was the season before I had my back operation, and I was in a bad way. I trained very little from the semi-final to the final, and Joe called me into his office on the Tuesday, and he said, I can't play you this weekend in the final. So my whole world crashed down, because here we were, 3 finals in a row that I was going to miss out on. So I took a trip out to Tallaght Orthopedic Hospital that day. Met a great man who's looked after me over a few years with a couple of needles, and went back. Was alright, was not in great shape. And then the morning of the game, woke up, was still not feeling 100%. So to be able to go into that game, and I suppose for me personally to get myself in with that first high ball was really relaxing for me to know that I was sort of could leave the back issue behind me and just try and enjoy my first Heineken Cup final. So yeah, it was probably that first moment in the Ulster game.
Fantastic. That's an amazing story. The stories that go behind these things, you never know. Brilliant. Oh yeah, I have to ask you this as well. The last, you're tearing up, you were zooming up the Aviva last week. Yes! The last 10 metres of that run, what was going through your head in the last 10 metres?
I was thinking 2 things for that run. Firstly, I was thinking, do not tear a hamstring here. Honestly, that's true.
Yeah.
And then, so once I realised, okay, the hamstrings are warm, I looked across and I saw Kieran Reid, and I said, if I do not out-sprint her forward, I am never going to win this game.
And just on that, the noise in the Aviva as well. You've had great matches, like thinking of Toulouse semi-final a few years ago, the noise of that was incredible. But last Sunday the noise was just something different. It doesn't put you off as a player, or is it really all good?
No, Jesus, no, we love that. That is awesome, and I think I'm really glad for Irish rugby and for the IRFU that they were able to replicate an incredible atmosphere, because again, Leinster, we've been really lucky that we're able to do that maybe 3-4 times a year, where we can really hit those massive decibel levels of where the atmosphere is manic. And I think the Irish team, maybe the IRFU, looked on a little bit enviously sometimes that for the Irish games maybe we weren't able to get that exact atmosphere the same. So it was really pleasing from that, and I think when we went 19-0 up. I've never heard a noise like it. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but it just shows that the Aviva can be a great stadium when the 15 guys on the field can produce some nice rugby.
Rob, listen, you have proven that a man can fly. Will you do us a favour? Will you sign this, because it'll go up on the wall there with all the other legends, and forever.
My pleasure. Where do you want it done?
Anywhere at all. Thanks. Thanks a million. Now we have a few little bits and pieces left here. Before you go, we just want to mention that earlier this year, Rob, we mentioned that he's a third gentleman and a role model for everybody. He agreed to be our OLSC ambassador for our charity of the year, which is the Children's Hospital in Crumlin. Yes, in our own spare time. And with that in mind, we just wanted to say thanks for the presentation to you of an OLSC mug. And because there wasn't enough room in the back for it, some sweeties.
These will all be empty by 12 o'clock tonight.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Rob, thanks a million.
Thank you very much. I suppose just from me to everyone, I know how much the supporters and all you guys really, you make this a really special thing, and I know all the players and guys do. So thank you. I really do appreciate it, and it's a massive honor for me. So thank you. Just to mention as well.